Hi everyone, welcome to Humane Yoga. My name's Chloe and today we'll be working through a nice slow flow. So this can be practiced any time of day, any time that you feel like you want to come back to centre and build some strength whilst also really calming the nervous system. Okay, so coming to a comfortable seated position, you might want to take a prop underneath the sit bones here, just a rolled up blanket or a cushion, just to find some more space in the hips and some more length in the spine. And then beginning to close down the eyes here, just taking a few deep breaths to arrive in the body and in your practice. Bringing the awareness to the navel center, so really feeling the breath landing in that space, expanding into that area on an inhale. I'm going to go straight into a breath count here. So we'll inhale for a count of 4 and then exhale for a count of 6. So starting to elongate the exhale, just to really start to soothe the nervous system. So wherever you are in your current breath cycle, let's exhale here together. And then inhaling for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 4, 3, 2, 1, exhaling 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continuing with this count for a few more rounds with your own count. So inhaling for 4, exhaling for 6. After your next full round of breath, releasing the breath count, just coming back to the natural breath. And we'll bring that breath count in throughout practice, linking the breath with our movement. Okay, so flickering open the eyes here, and then reaching the arms overhead, inhaling. And then on an exhale, we're going to twist towards the left side. So really stabilizing through the core, and then taking the right hand to the outside of the left knee, taking the left fingertips behind you, broadening out through the chest, taking the gaze over the left shoulder, breathing here. Next, inhale, coming back to center, arms overhead. Extension through the fingertips, inhaling, exhaling, taking the left hand towards the outside of the right knee, right fingertips can come to the floor behind you, gazing over the right shoulder. With every inhale, lengthening up through the crown of the head, and with every exhale, seeing if you can soften into the twist a little bit deeper. Inhaling, arms overhead, coming back to center. And then exhaling, twisting over to the left side. Really feeling that twist coming from the navel center. Staying soft in the upper back. Allowing the shoulders to melt down the spine. Releasing any unnecessary efforts here. And then inhaling back to center, reaching up through the fingertips, and exhaling over to the right side. Deep breaths into the belly. Inhaling back to center. Bringing the hands together into prayer position and then exhaling them through heart center. From here, we're going to come over into a tabletop position. So coming onto all fours, taking the wrists beneath the shoulders, the knees beneath the hips. Just finding a moment, taking a moment here to find your grounding, feeling that sense of gravity pulling you down, engaging through the core slightly here. And then we'll bring in that breath count here. So we'll inhale here, and then on an exhale, for the count of 6, we'll take the hips up towards the sky and come into downward dog. So inhaling here into the belly for 4, 3, 2, 1. Tucking the toes under, exhaling to downward dog. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling back to tabletop. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling back to downward dog. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling tabletop. Using your own breath count now. So inhaling for 4. And then exhaling for 6. And take one more like this. And then after your next exhale, staying here in downward dog, pedaling out the feet, and releasing any tension. And this might be your first downward dog of the day, so just exploring the shape, exploring your body. And with each exhale, seeing if you can soften down into the earth a little bit more, really pressing into all 10 fingertips, feeling gravity pulling the heels down towards the mat, releasing any tension in the shoulders, in the jaw, in the forehead. Next, inhale, stepping the feet between the hands, coming into a forward fold. Inhaling, rising up, really engaging through the core, taking the arms overhead. Exhaling, hands through heart center. Inhaling, taking the arms overhead again. Really reaching up through the fingertips, full body stretch. And then on an exhale, tucking the chin, taking the hands behind the back, interlacing the fingers. And then on an inhale, opening up through the heart space, really pulling down through the hands, allowing the shoulders to melt down the back. Slight back bend here. And then exhaling, deep bend into the knees, folding forward, melting over the legs. Keeping the hands interlaced behind the back if that feels comfortable for you. Feeling that opening through the shoulders. And then on an inhale, releasing the bind, sweeping the mat with the fingertips, taking a deep bend into the knees, bringing the arms up by the ears and coming into a chair pose. Tucking the pelvis under slightly here, keeping that length through the spine, reaching up through the fingertips. Releasing the shoulder blades down the back. Deep breaths here. Staying with the breath. And seeing if you can find some softness. Finding that strength and that steadiness through the legs. But seeing if you can notice where you can soften elsewhere in the body. Inhaling, reaching up through the fingertips. And then on an exhale, we're going to bring the hands together into prayer position. And then take the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And then lengthening up through the crown of the head. And on your exhale, twisting around towards the left side. Taking the gaze over the left shoulder. Making sure that the knees are in line here. Making sure that One knee isn't falling forward. With every inhale, lengthening up. And then every exhale, softening a little bit deeper into the pose. Staying with the breath. From here, we're going to take our weight into our left foot, really engaging through the core, finding your balance, playing around here with the wobbles, and then stepping back with the right foot, dropping that right knee towards the floor, coming into a twisted low lunge. Staying with the breath. And then inhaling, coming back to center, arms overhead, coming into your low lunge. Exhaling, taking the hands, framing that front foot, and then we'll step back into our plank position. Really rooting down through all 10 fingertips, through all corners of the hands, energy out through the backs of the feet, engaging through the core. One more breath in here. And then exhaling, lowering the knees, chest, chin, tucking the elbows in towards the body, lowering all the way down. Releasing the shoulders down the back. And then exhaling, tucking the toes, sending the hips up towards the sky, coming into downward facing dog. Taking some deep breaths here. Next, inhale, stepping forward between the hands, coming into a forward fold. Inhaling, engaging through the core, bringing the arms all the way overhead, reaching up with the fingertips. And then exhaling, hands through heart center. Inhaling, bending deeply into the knees, sweeping the mat with the fingertips, arms by the ears, coming into chair pose. And tucking the pelvis under here, lengthening up through the spine, energy through the fingertips. Inhaling to lengthen. And then on an exhale, bringing the hands into prayer, taking the left elbow to the outside of the right knee, coming into your twist. And with each exhale, seeing if you can soften. Really feeling this twist coming from the abdominal center. Staying with the breath. Seeing where you can find softness. Then taking the weight into the right foot, lifting the left foot, playing around with your balance, and then stepping that left foot behind you, dropping the left knee towards the floor, staying in that twist, breathing here. Seeing if you can lengthen out through the crown of the head a little bit further. Strong through the legs. Inhaling, coming back to center, reaching the arms overhead, coming into your low lunge. Exhaling, melting forward. Breathing here. Strong through the core. Exhaling, lowering down, dropping the knees, the chest, the chin down to the floor. Inhaling, baby cobra, scooping the heart forward. Exhaling, downward dog. Coming back to the breath here. Couple more deep breaths here. With every exhale, feel as if you can sense the heels melting down a little bit further towards the mat. And then on your next inhale, stepping between the hands and coming into a forward fold. Exhaling here. Inhaling, bringing the arms all the way overhead, reaching up with the fingertips. And then exhaling, hands through heart center. Okay, we're going to come into a bit of a twisted balance here. So just playing around with your balance, embracing any wobbles, any falls, and then just coming back to the breath. Okay, so bringing the weight into the right foot and really using the full span of the foot here. So lifting the toes up and then just lowering the toes one by one, creating as much space underneath the foot as possible. And then inhaling, bringing that left knee towards the chest. Option to stay here, bringing the right hand around the outside of the left knee. Or if you want to play around a bit more with your balance, taking the two peace fingers, wrapping them around the left big toe, and then extending that left leg in front of you. And then on an exhale, taking the left hand behind you. Playing around with the balance. Seeing if you can gaze over towards the left fingertips. Finding a point that doesn't move. Breathing here. Feeling that energy through the fingertips, through the heels of the feet. And then bringing that left hand back to center. Bringing that knee in towards the chest, seeing if you can stay in your balance. And then reaching forward with the hands, reaching backwards with that left leg, coming into warrior three. One breath here, and then exhaling, lowering with that back foot, windmilling the hands out wide, coming into warrior two. So taking the knife edge of that back foot parallel with the back of the mat. Inhaling, reaching forward, taking the gaze over that front middle finger. And then on an exhale, really melting, sinking the hips down into the pose. Taking a couple of deep breaths here. And again, noticing where you can find some softness. We're in this strong warrior pose. Strength through the legs. Noticing where you can find some softness in the upper body. Melting the shoulders. Releasing any unnecessary efforts in the upper body. Forearm here, windmilling the arms, framing that front foot, stepping back with the right foot and coming into plank pose. Taking a breath here, inhaling, feeling that fire burning in the abdomen. And then on an exhale, lowering down, either knees, chest, chin, or bringing the elbows towards the body, lowering halfway, coming into your chaturanga, and then inhaling, coming to upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. Inhaling, stepping forward. Forward fold. And shoulders and the head are heavy. Inhaling, sweeping the arms all the way overhead. And exhaling, hands through heart center. Okay, so we'll take that on the other side. So taking the weight into the left foot this time. Then bringing the right knee up towards the chest. And again, option to stay here, taking the left hand to the outside of the right knee and coming into your twist. Taking the right hand behind you. Otherwise, taking the two peace fingers around the right big toe, and then extending that right leg. Again, finding a point to focus on. Ooh, embracing the wobbles. And you could practice this every day of the month, and your balance would be completely different day to day. So not judging yourself here, just allowing yourself the space to play and explore. Bringing that right hand back to center, seeing if you can keep your balance here. Then extending the arms out in front, the right leg goes behind, coming into warrior three. Gazing down at the floor out in front of you. Inhaling here. And then exhaling, dropping that back foot towards the floor, windmilling out the hands in front of you, warrior two. Strong stance here. On your next exhale, really melting a little bit further into the lunge. Making sure that the knee doesn't track over that front big toe. Gazing over the front middle finger. Deep breaths into the belly. And again, noticing where you can soften. Really feeling that energy through the knife edge of the right foot. Inhaling energy through the fingertips. Feel that energy pulling you out through both sides. And then exhaling, windmilling the arms, framing that front foot, stepping back with the left foot coming into plank. Inhaling here. And then exhaling, lowering knees, chest, chin or chaturanga. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. Coming back to the breath. Noticing what's unfolding for you here in your body, in your mind. From here, we're going to drop the knees to the floor, coming into a tabletop position. And then just letting the sit bones sink down onto the heels, walking the hands towards the knees, coming into a kneeling position. Okay, from here, let's come down onto the floor. So bringing the back all the way down onto the floor. Bringing the soles of the feet onto the mat. And bringing the heels as close to the glutes as feels comfortable. Taking a couple of breaths into the belly here. Allowing the body to come back down to earth. Maybe bringing in that breath count. So inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 6. Really using that exhale to soothe out any areas of tension. Anywhere that you might still be holding on to resistance in the body. And then from here, taking the palms facing down on the mat, and then tucking the pelvis under here, and on an inhale, we're going to start to lift the hips up towards the ceiling, moving up the spine, vertebrae at a time, not forcing anything here, just exploring the movement of the spine. And then on an exhale, lowering all the way back down, vertebrae at a time. And then releasing all the way down onto the mat. We'll take that a couple more times, bringing in that breath count. Maybe this time taking the arms overhead if that feels comfortable for you. So tucking the pelvis, and then inhaling, taking the arms overhead, reaching the hips up towards the sky for 3, 2, 1. Exhaling, lowering all the way back down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling, lowering down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Taking that 2 more times with your own breath count. Really starting to synchronize breath with movement. Seeing if you can let the hands touch the floor at the top and the bottom at the same time as the hips and the breath finish. Next, inhale takes you up without the hands, keeping the hands flat to the floor, raising the hips up towards the sky, coming into your full bridge. So once you get to the top of your bridge, you can maybe interlace the hands behind the back and start to walk the shoulders underneath the back if that feels comfortable for you. Really feeling that expansion through the chest, pushing into the soles of the feet, engaging through the legs. Keep pushing the knees together. Deep breaths here. One more deep inhale here together. And then exhaling, lowering down, releasing all the way down to the mat, releasing the hands. And just taking a breath here. Bringing the knees in towards the chest. And then from here coming into a twist. So taking the arms out wide. If you don't have the space, you can bring the arms into cactus, so bringing them into 90-degree angles. Really stabilizing the core here. Inhaling. And then on an exhale, dropping the knees over towards the left side. Taking the gaze over to the right side. And take in a couple of deep breaths into the navel center here. Not forcing anything, not worrying about forcing your body into this twist, but just allowing the breath and the body to melt to exactly where it wants to go to. Stabilizing through the core, and then inhaling, bringing the knees back to center. Keeping that stabilization of the core, and then exhaling, taking the knees over to the right side, gazing over towards the left. Maybe closing down the eyes here, taking your awareness inwards. Engaging through the core, and then inhaling back to center. Taking the arms, wrapping them around the knees, giving yourself a big hug here. Maybe taking the forehead towards the knees, rocking side to side, massaging out through the spine. And then when you're ready, lowering the body down onto the mat. Legs stretched out long, arms facing up towards the sky. And I invite you to stay here in your Shavasana for as long as you feel you need. Just allowing the effects of your practice to settle throughout your body. Just releasing all efforts and taking the next few moments completely for yourself. Thank you for practicing with me today. I'll leave you here. Namaste.